Hey there, Chad here for the AI Content Dojo, and in this video, I just want to kind of clear up some misconceptions about these AI tools and the GPT-3 and stuff like that, because I see a lot of questions and a lot of people who are seeking like really fast creation of content. Now, I get it. To a degree, these tools are intended to speed up your writing process. Some of them even make claims as to sort of generate, much of your article for you and with very little effort and stuff like that. But the truth is that these tools are not replacing the writer. If you're going to create content that is actually going to rank or serve a purpose, actually provide something of value to the reader, and in return accomplish whatever your goal was for creating that content, whether you're just trying to educate somebody, convince someone to purchase your product, or get them to join your membership, or whatever your reason is, that you have to actually spend some time writing still. These tools are going to help you write faster. These tools are going to help you find new tangents to work through to bring more value to your reader, things like that. But they aren't going to generate a piece of content for you that's going to rank and do well and bring everything for you with no effort on your end at all. Okay, so with that said, my workflow, let me just go into the dojo here. My workflow consists of a few steps, right? Where you're going to be brainstorming, researching, then you're going to do your writing, do some SEO if you want. You can flip SEO and editing. You can edit first and then SEO, or you can SEO and then edit, whichever. Then you'll publish and promote your article. What's important is there's a few tools that I usually recommend, and it's Phrase, Shortly, and Grammarly. So Phrase is the one where it's going to help you do the research. It's also going to help you do the SEO after you're done writing and you're editing your draft. Shortly is the writing tool that I use, and Grammarly Premium is the editor. These are all AI tools. They all fit nicely into each other, as far as like copying over into one and doing the work in each tool. It works very well. It's a relatively smooth process. The process is not automatic, right? You don't click a button and all your research is done, click a button, all your writing is done, click a button and all your editing is done. And it's important that that's not something that you think about going forward with these tools. Like don't fall under the illusion that these tools are going to automate your content creation. It's artificial intelligence, right? It's an assistant. It's not something that's going to do all the work for you. And so you still have to keep your reader in mind. You still have to write quite a bit. I mean, you're not going to write all of it, but you're going to write quite a bit of it, and the tools are going to help, of course. But you always need to keep that reader in mind and what you're creating, making sure that what you create is going towards solving whatever the reason is for them to be on your article. So something like Phrase, for instance, it's going to go out and do the research for you, but it's not going to put it into your brain, right? You still have to read it. Still got to spend the time to see what the competition is doing, things like that. Same thing with Shortly. You could click that write for me button and it'll write something, but it's not going to know how to focus it for your reader. It's not going to know how to use your voice or your brand, whatever it is that you're writing for. So you have to lead it. You have to be, I guess I would say that you're still the writer, but maybe when you're using a tool like Shortly, you also take on a little bit of a role of more of an editor or an orchestrator, where a conductor, where you're orchestrating the creation of the content, but you're always doing it in a way where you know that it's going to be something that is productive and useful for you and your business. And then Grammarly Premium. So this is the editing process, right? When you get to the editing process, there's a lot of tools out there. I would say maybe Instatext, Grammarly, WordTune, things like that. They're all pretty good. They all do slightly different things. Grammarly originally focused almost purely on grammar, probably why it's called Grammarly. But in recent years, it's been adding AI tools around clarity and concision and stuff like that. It's an excellent tool, but it doesn't have a one-click edit where it just resolves all the issues that it finds, and it's important that it doesn't. It does have an ability if you use Grammarly on their homepage and you make a new document in there and you paste your content into that. It does have the ability sometimes to where it realizes that maybe 10 or 15 or 20 of the fixes that you need are all so similar, and you've already said, yes, change these, that it does come up with like a grouping where it might say, this bunch, do you want to just change them all at once? It'll do things like that. It'll also do things where it tries to fix your quotes. Like maybe you wrote some quotes in Google Docs and it became like those sort of angled quotes, but then you have, or curly quotes, whatever they call them. And then in some other place, you maybe wrote straight quotes, and it's going to ask you which one do you want to keep, and then it'll change them all to the same type just for, uniformity. And so my point, I guess, with Grammarly and editing, whatever your tool is, don't let them. I mean, you don't want the ability. I mean, it sounds like you do, right? It sounds, I want to just click it and be done with it. But the problem is that none of these tools are absolutely perfect, and they probably will never be perfect to the degree that the changes fit for you, because everyone writes differently. Everyone has different brands, different, names and things that they use inside of your content. For instance, Shortly is the name of the writing app, Shortly AI. I call it Shortly for short. And it's a normal word in the English language. And Grammarly has some problems with fixing that. And I'm sure that there's any number, probably thousands of instances of that going on all the time. And there's a good chance that happens to you as well. So if you just let Grammarly edit in one click, it's going to produce errors anyways for you. So you need to spend the time to just go through, right? And for the most part, when you're fixing punctuation errors and stuff like that, you can just click pretty quickly through them. For the most part, Grammarly does a really good job with punctuation, capitalization, things like that. It's when you start getting into clarity and concision where the tool offers some really interesting ideas on how to change up your content to be better content, better written, to take away passive voice and things like that. And it's nice because it pops up a before and an after and gives you the opportunity to pick one. And it's important that you go through each of those to make sure that you're actually picking the one that maintains maybe your voice, your brand, and doesn't kind of change the meaning of the sentence for you and too much, because you're trying to keep it focused on the reader, remember. So I guess if I was up on a soapbox and I was giving this speech, I'd say AI is awesome. AI will help you write faster. AI can be an incredible assistant to your work, but it is an assistant. It's not going to do everything for you. But, you could let it do everything for you. Here's the problem with that, though. You can see, and this is why I'm not worried really about this, because you're going to see a lot of people out there just generating content. And if you're the person who's doing it right, creating good quality content, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you see somebody talking about that, you might get kind of a little angry about it or something, or defensive or something. Don't do that, because essentially what's going on is they're generating a whole bunch of content that's going to go nowhere. If you don't spend any time on your content and you just generate, automate, you're going to end up with content that Google is not going to rank anyways. So nobody's going to see it unless, somebody shares a direct link to others. There's going to be no traffic from it. So if you're the type of person that wants to do that, hopefully your traffic isn't coming from Google, it's coming from something else. And the people that are reading that will be able to have the patience to glean some kind of information out of it. But I highly recommend that you don't try to completely automate your process. you'll just end up with something that doesn't work. So anyway, that's my soapbox for today, I guess. Please take the time to create the content that will actually do something good for you and the reader, okay? Until next time, take care.